Hi everyone, and welcome to the Jeff Bullish Show. Today I have with me Adam Danyleyko. Now, Adam is a dedicated advocate for the startup community with a background steeped in fostering growth and innovation. He, as the product owner for startups at Amii, the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, he brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. He has over 4 years of diverse experience in roles in HR business partner, in Alberta Energy to Policy Analyst in Economic Development and Trade. Adam honed his skills in community building and policy development. And Amii, by the way, is a not-for-profit organisation to help startups in Canada, and he works for the Machine Intelligence Unit, focusing on AI to help startups. His passion for nurturing startups ignited during his tenure at Startup Edmonton, where he played a pivotal role in expanding post-secondary programming and leading the community team. Adam's journey to support empower startup founders is underscored by his commitment to seeing others thrive. With a Bachelor of Commerce in HR Management from the University of Alberta School of Business, he possesses the ideal blend of economic knowledge and practical experience to guide startups on their journey. His expertise in startups, the AI advantage for startups, student entrepreneurship, and ecosystem building make him the person to talk about AI for startups in Canada. Thank you, Adam, for being on the show. It's an absolute blast to have you here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
So we're going to have a lot of chats about AI today and why it's important for startups to do it from day one, which I think was, one of the areas we're going to explore. So tell us a little bit about your journey from HR, and maybe tell us why you actually did a degree in HR. What is there a curiosity there that became compelling? Tell us about how you got even to HR.
Yeah. So when I started university, I actually thought I wanted to be an accountant. So I've been all over the place. I thought I wanted to be an accountant, took the, kind of on 100 level accounting, realized it was not for me. I was definitely more interested in the people side of things. And so I transitioned over to an HR degree, worked as an HR business partner for the government of Alberta here in Edmonton for a few years. I really enjoyed a lot of, again, the people side of that role, but I didn't really love the repetitiveness of the role. So I found it very, it always felt like I was treading water. Like I would have 3 recruitments on the go. I'd have classifications on the go. And for me, I really realized that I like more project-based work where you can build up to something and have, your big day and then have a retrospective celebration and then move on to the next project. And so that's kind of when I moved out of HR into a kind of HR adjacent role, I guess you could say at first, where I ran a cross-government internship program and a course program at the government. And then I moved over to Startup Edmonton. So taking a lot of that student engagement work that I had been doing at my last role at the government and applying it to the startup ecosystem to support the startup companies here in Edmonton engage with students. And so that's really how I transitioned out of HR. And now I was at Startup Edmonton for about 4 years in a variety of different roles and had many different responsibilities, but really built out a passion and a love for startups and for supporting founders. And then when this role at Amii came up, to continue supporting startups, but to broaden my scope from just the city of Edmonton to all of Alberta, Canada, and beyond, it was definitely something that I had to jump at. So I've been in this role now for 3 years and really, really loving every day of it.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you said you're interested in accounting. I had that same interest in accounting because I thought accountants made money, but all they do is really count money. And
Yeah.
I and they do spreadsheets. I did accounting. I did an accounting degree for 1 year and realized that I would it really didn't suit me. For me, it's more about people than spreadsheets. In fact, our main accounting professor was so boring that one day, just in protest, the students brought pillows to class and actually put them down on the desk. And he was really, really upset. I don't know why, but at any rate, he was so boring he put us to sleep. And for me, my brother did accounting, I didn't, and the rest is history. But anyway, so accounting, I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you lasted a little longer than I did, if I'm being if I'm being honest in there.
Well, yeah. Luckily, I transitioned into a teaching degree, which is more about people. But
Nice.
it's hard to know when you're younger what you really want to do, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's hard when you don't have a lot of lived experience or, even just work experience to know what you want to do. It's definitely an interesting that, especially I mean, I feel like in North America, it's a little bit more common for people to, young people to go straight from high school right into university, as opposed to in Europe. And I think it's a little bit more common in Australia too, correct me if I'm wrong, but to take more of a gap year and get some lived experience, that's more common outside of North America than it is here. I think that's probably a good idea to take some time, live a little bit of life, see what you like, see what you don't like, and then figure out what you really want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, gap years are becoming really almost part of the course of doing the courses. So the reality is that if you hadn't had life experience, how do you know what you're going to find interesting? What are you good at? You
Yeah.
don't. You might have been good at spelling and mental arithmetic,
Yeah.
but who you really got to go and get some life experience. So I think the challenge in education is how do we get young people to make informed choices on what they're going to do in life? And the reality is that the world's changing so quickly that it's hard to know what role you will play, and actually what roles you will play, because you used to have a career for life. Now it's like,
Yeah.
how many careers will I have in my life? And that's really interesting.
Totally.
And I think as you grow older, you actually change and you find things that interest you. And I think there's two words that interest me at the moment, which together I think help in this discussion, is what are you curious about? And I tend to ask my friends about that. And I go, I'm curious about a lot of things. But then the other question after that is, but what is compelling that actually calls you? And
Yeah.
that's because out of that compelling comes drive and energy. But you got to be curious first. And that's really, and just to observe what you're curious about is quite often not considered. And when we're kids, we actually follow our curiosity all the time. We play. As we grow up, we're told to be serious because you're now an adult,
Yeah.
and we forget to play and explore. But
Yeah.
anyway, I digress. So anyway, so so you moved from HR, now you're into startups. You must see a lot of interesting. You're seeing basically almost a landscape of startups, aren't you?
Yeah, we've worked like this year. So this past year, my team's supported over 100 startups, 100 different startups that we've worked with from all across Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So out of these startups, is there sort of like some categories or areas that startups seem to be leaning into more than others? So, what's the beat of the street, the trends that you're noticing out of those 100?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So to be honest, they're all over the place. I'd say their startups applying their work and focus to some of the world's biggest challenges, and really covering all different verticals of our economy. So everything from, we're seeing a lot in the supply chain space, which has been something that has become more and more top of mind, I guess you could say, since the pandemic, and a lot of the supply chain challenges that were being faced during the pandemic and are still being faced. A lot in the health space. I think health and wellness is a huge area that a lot of startups are looking at. and a lot of companies in general are looking at. Whereas we, in Alberta here, we're a very energy focused economy. So we have a lot of oil and gas and energy production in our province. And so naturally with that, there's a lot of startup focus on energy, whether it's the generation, transmission, storage, use of energy. That's a huge focus, or the reduction and of energy usage is a big focus. So yeah, lots of big focus. We're also we're on the prairies, and so in the prairies here in Canada too, we have oil and we have farming. So agrotech and agri-food is a huge industry here as well, and we're seeing lots of startups popping up in that space on how to make farming better, more efficient, more productive. Lots in those kind of spaces.
Yes, it's applying technology to actually be more productive, isn't it? That is certainly, as technology has emerged, and become much more visible since I suppose the 80s. Everyone ended up with a computer on their desk. Everyone has a computer at home now, and then we have the rise of
now everyone has one in their pocket.
We do. We have one in our pocket where we actually can share our consciousness with the planet. That's then put into the social media platforms and beyond, builds websites. So I certainly think that we're seeing almost emerging, and then what I call a super conscious. In other words, humanity's intelligence, creativity is put into the cloud, the web. Now we've got so much noise. Trying to make sense of that is, as humans, we are actually, trend spotters. We do pattern recognition, but there is so much noise now globally. Is that, how do you make sense of all that noise and data? And this is where AI steps in, isn't it? So it's basically, data is the new oil.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's definitely something that we hear a lot for sure, and we talk about here. Having the right data to answer the questions that you want to answer is definitely important. Yeah.
So let's talk about AI and startups and your with that and how you end up. Okay, so interested in startups, hiring for startups maybe, but then you're in this non-profit for the Canadian government or your region, and you're now heading up the AI part to help startups. How did this happen naturally? Was it your idea? Whose idea was it to actually lean into AI for startups as a division, which is what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, so our whole organization is focused on AI. So our mission as a not-for-profit is AI for good and for all. And so we work with all types of companies to support them in their AI development. Specifically, my team supports the startups, so tech startups building rapidly scalable software solutions. And so before I was on the team, there wasn't really a dedicated startup program. And so my task when I was hired was to figure out what we should be doing in order to support startups on their AI journeys. And so really spent a good year. I approached it like I was a startup. So I had a scientist on my team at the time. We approached it like we were starting a startup. We met with a ton of different startups who were at all different stages of their AI journey. So some that were really well versed in AI, had it in their product already, some that had tried and stopped or failed, some that hadn't tried yet, some that were brand new companies, some that had been around for 10 years, to really see where the lay of the land was and what the options already were for startups when it came to AI, where those roadblocks were. And then we did our customer discovery. Then we started rapid prototyping. So we started building different products, programs to support startups. And we would double down on what was working. We would kill what wasn't working. And over the course of that first year, we really built out 2 major programs specifically for startups to help them at the early stages identify where AI can be applied to their business, and then prioritize that list of options in order to know where to start. And then we also built out a CTO coaching program for startups that have deployed AI. So these are already AI companies, to provide them ongoing support and resources in a more ongoing basis once they already have AI in their products.
Okay, so CTO, you mean Chief Technical Officer, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're basically trying to provide support to the Chief Technical Officers to help them identify, I suppose, how AI could be used for increased productivity and how it could be woven into existing products or new products.
Yeah, so these are startups that already have expertise in AI in some way. So they've already built some sort of an AI technology that they're leveraging in their product that's already in market. And so our program provides the main piece would be coaching. So we have machine learning scientists on my team that have coaching sessions with our member companies to provide them an outside opinion, a second set of eyes on how to improve their existing product and their existing use of AI. Or sometimes they're looking at a new way or a new tool or a new product that they want to build, and we can provide them insight and advice into that aspect of their business as well. So we're really acting as an advisor, as an outside third party set of eyes to provide support and advice in their operations. So when we looked out at the market in that customer discovery, we really realized, at least here in Alberta and Canada, there is a lot of supports for the business side of startups. So most accelerators accelerators, incubators, they're really focused in on the business side. So a ton of CEO supports, but there was a severe lack of technical supports on the technology side. And so that's really what our specialty is AI technology. And so instead of reinventing the wheel and building something that already exists out there on the business side, we decided to focus in on the technical side where our expertise was and provide those technical leaders at startups coaching. We do expert sessions where we bring in either some of our research fellows or industry experts in AI and machine learning to have sessions with them. We provide recruitment supports. We do peer networking. So it's a whole fulsome program to support those technical leaders at startups from across Canada.
So with that, have you had trouble resourcing the expertise you need? In terms of, are AI experts thin on the ground, or is everyone learning as they go? In other words, they've got basic technical skills, but AI can do a lot of the technical skills anyway. So what resources do you need to help those CTOs that you brought into the fold, into the team to help the CTOs?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So predominantly the technical individuals that we're hiring are machine learning scientists. And so we have quite a few machine learning scientists and scientists in general on our team. We're a very science heavy organization. And so these are often individuals with either a master's or a PhD in AI and machine learning. And so they have experience, often industry experience on top of that as well. So they have a wealth of knowledge that they can draw upon when they're working with our clients. As a research institute, we have very good line of sight into the talent pool. So we're affiliated pretty strongly with the University of Alberta here in Edmonton. So we fund the University of Alberta and we fund researchers there who are doing fundamental research. Those researchers are professors who have students, grad students, PhDs, postdocs that are working with them. And so we support that talent pipeline of individuals. It's I think it's between 300 and 500 students in the grad, PhD, and postdocs that work underneath our fellows that we support. So we're very lucky in that way that we can tap into that network pretty well. And then we also work to support a lot of the companies we work with to help them tap into that as well. Because machine learning talent, like people who are experts in the types of things that we need them to be in and that the companies we work with need them to be in, they're one of the most in-demand skill sets in the entire world right now. And so it's a very competitive for that talent. So we're very lucky that we have access into that. And we leverage that in order to support a lot of the companies that we work with as well.
Yeah. So so you've been doing this for how long now? How long have you been working for Amii?
Just coming up in a month, it'll be 3 years.
Well, okay. So you've seen the rise of ChatGPT in
Yeah.
November 2022, in the middle of that, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. A lot of our conversations have shifted over the past year and a half, I guess, which is great. We're having a lot more people, I guess, today are aware of AI as a tool that can be used. And so it oftentimes makes some conversations a lot easier in that we're not starting from scratch and explaining what AI is. But it also creates some unique challenges because a lot of people want to look at a tool like ChatGPT and come to us and say, okay, how can I use ChatGPT to do X task? Or how can I use ChatGPT in my business? And that's a fair question to ask. But when we're approaching problem solving and working through problems with our clients, we really like to start with the problem. So what are you trying to do? What are you trying to solve? And then we find the right tool to solve that problem. Whereas if you're saying, I have ChatGPT, what do I do with it? You're really starting with the solution and then looking at your business and trying to find a problem that it can solve. So it's a little bit backwards, but I'd rather more people know about AI than not, and it definitely makes it's definitely good conversation starter in a lot of ways.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. For me, watching it and looking at the history of technology, it becomes apparent that once you give a technology a easy human interface, then that's when it becomes globally accepted. And that's what happened with, the search. That's what happened with browsers. Browsers were given an easy, Netscape arising, add a Mosaic back in the 90s. Then we saw, the search engines, Google arise out of that. Type in, your search query. ChatGPT gave basically the black box of AI. It gave it a human face interface so that it could be used by the world and the average Joe.
Yeah.
And that's where it exploded. And for me, I started playing with it about 4 weeks after it came out, and I went, wow. And I said to my team, I said, we're going to lean into this.
Yeah.
But it's the velocity for me is what's mind blowing. I've seen the rise of PCs. My first career in tech was in sales and marketing when the PC industry took off in the mid 80s. When Apple and IBM were duking it out, and then rise of Microsoft and so on. So, but the velocity of AI and ChatGPT is mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely is a very unique case, I think, when it comes to a technology that almost instantly becomes so ubiquitous around the world. It's not something that I don't think I've seen happen. I guess maybe when the iPhone first came out, it would have been a similar instant, like, maybe I don't even think iPhone was as instantaneous as ChatGPT, because you can access this technology on any device anywhere, right? So and it right now you can access it for free, which is even better. Yeah, it's really cool to see, and really democratizing a lot of tasks that in the past weren't, or making things a lot easier, freeing up a lot of productivity time for people too. If you know how to use those types of tools properly, they can make you a lot more productive, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by what I see the competitiveness emerging, especially amongst the bigger players, in that ChatGPT is certainly leading human. It's the most visible, the most conscious tool. Now we've got Google, brought out Bard. Now we've got, and then we've got Elon Musk are trying to get into it, and NVIDIA are now getting into it as well. I saw recently announced that they're actually creating their own ChatGPT version because they own the hardware, so they understand machine learning. So
Yeah.
now, so my feeling is that I think you can't discount Google, but I wouldn't be surprised that ChatGPT has already won the race in terms of being the go-to tool for generative AI. What do you think?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm not too sure. I know Google announced Gemini fairly recently, which is my understanding is it's the next iteration of Bard. So on that
Yep, it is.
multimodal learning system, and so that'll be really cool to see. At the end of the day, I don't know if there's going to be a winner per se. I mean, there's lots of tools available out there, and I think what'll be interesting is how the tools are integrated into other ways and how they're used in kind of the backbone of different things. So pretty soon, if not already, you'd be able to build a company, like one person using GPT-4, GPT-5, whatever it ends up being in the near future. We'll be able to build an app using GPT that runs on GPT. And so it'll be, for startups, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what that looks like going forward and how the startup landscape changes. What that'll mean for investment and investors over time. Are those companies going to be investment eligible, like not eligible, but will investors want to invest in companies that are one or two people running them in that kind of way? I think it's going to be fascinating to see how these types of tools are going to change not only our day-to-day lives and our own individual productivity, but the landscape for startups around the world. I think it's going to be fascinating over the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, it is. I am really curious about this amplification and extension of our humanity with the AI tools, which can do a whole range of things, solve a lot of problems. I read a book recently called The Next Wave by Mustafa Solfi, the founder and CEO of DeepMind, that got bought by Google for nearly $1 billion.
Yeah.
And I said to my team, I said, really, what I think is going to happen is that within a few years, I don't know how long those few are, but we will see billion-dollar companies run by 5 or 6 people because they've got the tools to amplify them. And what will that do to startups? Well, you've got to start thinking in different ways. And Mustafa actually said that he believed one of the models at the moment we're using ChatGPT and generative AI to actually do research, find information, organize it, do the writing for you, for example, create images for you, do the marketing funnels, copy, and the list goes on. He says that one of the models he thinks is going to happen is that eventually AI will be able to do not only the thinking and do the research, but actually do the functioning, the doing. And he says one model that I think is going to be interesting to watch is it could be applied to templated models such as, FBT, fulfillment by Amazon, FBA, sorry, fulfillment by Amazon type business models where you find AI will do the product research, it'll do the marketing program, it'll come up with the ideation, it'll then source the product, it'll then actually use Amazon to do the delivery and then the payment. So he says that technology isn't there yet, but he sees the potential within a more templated models for AI to actually scale a business quickly and do it from start to actual delivery of the product eventually. Aided by logistics. You talked about logistics are actually a big fulfillment for you in Canada as well. Within a few years, we're going to have businesses that we run by a few people and it could generate say fulfillment by Amazon stores can be turnover of 200 million, but AI and ChatGPT actually could end up producing the actual technology to do everything from start to finish: ideation, source product, write a marketing plan, get it delivered, get the money in. So, and that's what Mustafa said, that he believed that sort of business model could certainly happen within a few years. It's not there now, but so what do you think about that? Like you just mentioned the idea that people can start a business, a startup, it's only 1 or 2 people or 3 or 4 people. But because generative AI could actually scale our humanity right through the business chain, right from start to finish. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely possible. I think anytime you're looking at a company or a startup, something really important to think about as a founder is what's your moat. So what separates you from other people? What makes you unique? What makes your company unique? And I think when like the upside to having a company like that is, a company that's run on GPT is you can, again, like you said, you can get something up and running with very limited people, very limited overhead to get it going. I think a huge risk of those types of businesses, though, are there's not a lot of moat. So what happens if you build a company around a tool and then OpenAI releases that tool themselves? Your company no longer exists, or like because now you're competing directly with OpenAI. Or what happens when your whole company is 100% reliant on another company's existence? Yeah. That feels very risky to me. So what happened? Like we just saw a couple months ago, OpenAI almost didn't exist anymore. There was like a company that had gone from obscurity, nobody really knew about it, to one of the most well-known companies in the entire world, to almost not existing in less than a year. And they were able to recover through that, but it just shows that all of these companies, they're companies. They're run by people at the end of the day, at least for now, and they're open to the ups and downs and the pitfalls of any other company. And so when you, like I said, when you're 100% reliant on someone else being in business, one other company being in business, and maintaining the product in the way that you need it to work for your business, that feels very risky to me. And so that would be my kind of caveat there is there's lots of upside. There's definitely some downside when you're putting all your eggs in one basket like that, though. So it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see how this all shakes out and what the next few years looks like. And I think there's going to be a lot of amazing companies that get built. There's probably going to be a lot of companies that raise a ton of money or make a ton of money and then disappear, or then OpenAI or Google or Microsoft or whoever creates the same tool that they're building right now, and then a lot of those companies might disappear overnight. So I think it's going to be a very, maybe tumultuous is the right word for the next few years. I can, if I had a crystal ball and predicted, I would say there's going to be a lot of uncertainty in the waters over the next couple of years when it comes to startups, but there's lots of opportunities. And I think if you're building a company that has good fundamentals, you really understand your customer and the problem your customer is facing, and then you build a product that is really working to solve that problem for your customer. Yep. Those are the companies I think that are going to succeed. So yep. That's really what those are the ones that I tend to gravitate to, and the ones that I've seen succeed so far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and you can build an app quite quickly now with generative, AI, ChatGPT, and we've seen that happen with the opening in, I think it was January 10, after OpenAI announced their developer, I suppose, funnel development program for people to generate specific niche apps under the banner of the generic ChatGPT app. And what blew me away is within 3 months, I think it was, when they launched on January 10 this year, they opened the GPT store with 3 million apps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wonder how long it'd be interesting to look back and see how long it took Apple to hit 1 million apps in their app store.
I can tell you.
It didn't open with 1 million apps.
I can tell you exactly how long it took. 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. 5 years to hit 1 million, and OpenAI hit 3 in what, a month?
Well, 3 months from, actually opened the store with 3 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote an article recently about that because I was fascinated by this velocity.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I started looking at some of the apps in the store. I'm just looking at the top trending apps, the 10 top trending apps. I'm going to write about that soon. That's actually in the middle of written. But what I'm starting to notice is there's a phrase that used to be, there's an app for that. I think what I'm noticing is with the ChatGPT store is we're going to end up with a lot of crap apps, as in.
Yeah, for sure.
And what I mean by crap apps means they don't do much more than ChatGPT. They've just been given another name and they don't do much. So I think there's a thing called quality versus quantity. I think at the moment I'm sure there is quality in amongst all that quantity, but the issue is sifting through that. is going to be a minefield. And that raises a question for me, based upon what you guys are doing, is you're dealing with startups, you identify a problem, then you go looking for the tool to solve that, an AI tool. How do you guys do that? Because the AI tool landscape is now vast, not necessarily deep, but vast. So how do you identify the tools? Do you have preferred tools that you recommend? Tell us about that, because that's an issue I believe that we all face in the rise of AI apps, is that trying to find good tools amongst all the noise.
Yeah. So when we're working with a client, kind of my team would help them at the early stages of seeing where those opportunities within their business are. Then we have across our other teams, we can scope out a specific use case, and we do a lot of research in those projects to help them. We do literature reviews, tech reviews. So we're doing research. We have scientists that are out there doing research and identifying the right approach, the right tool for them. And we like to look at, we look at, should they buy a solution? Is there an off-the-shelf solution they should buy? Is there something that they need to build, or is it something that they can partner on? So those are typically the three avenues that we look at. And then, because sometimes it's actually, you have to build the solution yourself. That's, if this has never been done before, you have to go out and build the model, build the solution yourself. But there's, if you're looking at having a route optimization aspect to a tool, you probably don't need to build that yourself. Google has incredible tools around that. Amazon would have great tools around that. So there's tools out there that already exist with that. So we don't want our clients wasting time, energy, and resources on building something that they can buy or partner on pretty seamlessly. But when it is appropriate for them to build their own, then we help them with that as well.
Yeah. So how do you find those apps? Is it basically, have you created like your own library resources that you become your go-tos?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have tools that we've worked with and that we know work well. A lot of times, though, what we're not necessarily looking at the same types of tools that a consumer would be looking at. So we're looking at what types of models are in the background. So these wouldn't really be considered like consumer-facing products that we're looking at. So like we're looking for like AI models that would be able to do a specific task or help support in collaboration with other tools to deliver to the tasks that our clients are looking for. And so we're not necessarily looking at like the OpenAI App Store in the same way that you or I might look for if we had a specific task that we wanted to solve. Our scientists oftentimes too a lot of times we're building those models for our clients and with our clients. So we're actually, in writing code, training that code and those models on our clients' data in order to achieve the results that they're looking for, whether that's a classification system looking at computer vision or natural language processing, or making a prediction. So whether they're looking to make a projection about the future, to produce some sort of an output, to prevent something from happening, promote a specific area, or personalize something. Those are the 5 Ps of AI that we look at. We work to build that out or to find the right option for our clients.
So just go a little deeper on something you mentioned about the 5 Ps of AI. Could you list them again slowly? And
Yeah. So I guess 5 Ps in terms of how AI provides business value. So it's project, produce, prevent, promote, and personalize. Those are the 5 ways that we look at how AI can provide business value.
So you got project, produce,
yeah,
prevent, promote, yeah, promote, and personalize.
Yeah,
cool. Is that a model that you guys developed?
I don't think this is like the words that that we've specifically pulled together. My understanding is that their more common understanding of business value for AI, as opposed to something that we've specifically pulled together. But to be honest, I'm not 100% sure.
All right, it's fine. So are you seeing some really positive results from startups that are using AI in their day-to-day, either producing a product or using it to be more productive?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of a lot of our clients are leveraging tools for their own individual productivity, like ChatGPT and different tools like that. That's not so much what we focus on. We're focusing more on how can they build AI into their product, and to improve their product. And so a lot of the startups that we work with, when they are looking at how AI can help them, it's oftentimes when they're at an inflection point and they're about to start scaling. So they need to scale very rapidly in the near future, geographically, or in terms of the number of customers, or in some way they're going to be scaling rapidly. And a lot of their manual processes that worked when they were this big are going to break down entirely when they're this big. And so that's where a lot of AI models are able to really support them, is in that scaling.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've seen a lot of the startups that we've worked with leverage AI in order to scale a lot more rapidly than they'd be able to, and a lot more affordably than if they had to scale by scaling up their manual processes. So like if you'd imagine, like if you were scheduling, I don't know, for example, garbage pickup, and you had when you only have 5 trucks, you can just have a person that works in an office and does the scheduling for those 5 trucks every day. But when you're starting to expand to different cities, and now you have 5,000 trucks across North America, well, now in order to do that scheduling, you'd either need to hire hundreds of people, or you'd have to build some sort of an AI system to help manage that. And so that's oftentimes where a lot of the companies that we see are having the most success.
Right. So the scaling, more productive, doing more with less.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So in terms of, I suppose, building tools, the other question I have is we're seeing a lot of tools being built by emerging startups. So you got the new startups building tools, and they're taking on the big guys that already have the resources to build the same tools. So you got someone, for example, like I'm going to do, 𝓬𝓪𝓻𝓷, it's an Australian company. It's maybe got 3,000 or 4,000 staff now. It does images, makes it easy for people to do what Adobe made difficult with Photoshop, for example. So 𝓬𝓻𝓷 basically became a competitor to Adobe to actually make it easy and democratize design, instead of having some designer that worked out the complexities of how to use Adobe Photoshop. And democratize design almost effectively for graphics for business, images. Now it's moving video. Now it's adding AI to its images and so on. Then you've got to start going, I'm going to do the same thing, except they don't have the resources. So there's this battle between the startups with an idea about producing a tool that solves a problem versus an existing larger company that has the resources to actually add it quickly to their ecosystem and their consumer base. How do you see that playing out? Like, is there going to be the rise of some startups that will overwhelm the existing players, or do you think the existing players have the incumbents have a much better way of actually fighting off those startups that are trying to take their territory? So startup versus the incumbent.
I think, very short answer would be, I think it depends. I think that it's really going to depend on the situation. So in some cases, having that legacy and having the resources to back up a company will, in certain situations, allow them to succeed and allow the legacy companies to succeed. In some cases, having they say diamonds are made under pressure, right? So when you have limited resources, you have all these constraints on you. Oftentimes that's when you see some of the most innovation taking place. So sometimes that the constraint of less resources allows startups to actually be more creative and more innovative than a large company might have. Also, like a lot of the companies now that we think of as these big, that not just we think of, that are these big industry players, the Metas, the Googles, the Ubers, name whatever company, they were all startups not too long ago. And so it might have been 10 years ago, it might have been 20 years ago. They were the startups of that time. So for sure, there's going to be new companies that come out of, seemingly nowhere and take over giant chunks of market share. Those companies might get knocked out of first place at some point. But there's also a lot to be said about having the resources behind something as well. So I think it's really going to be dependent on how the large companies can stay innovative and stay at the forefront of a lot of these areas. But it's also how can startups take advantage of the constraints that they're under in order to be even more innovative. I think that's really where that's going to continue to happen. We've most innovations, a lot of innovations over the past 20 to 50 years have come out of startups, and they've either then been, grown that startup into a large company, or they've been acquired by a large company, or the technology's been licensed or whatnot. But a lot of innovation most innovation in my mind is actually still happening at the startup phase and in startups. So it's going to continue to drive innovation and economic development around the world.
Yeah, I would very much agree. And you only have to look at one example is Uber, which took on the incumbent taxi industry globally. Yeah. Because the problem was they tried to summon a taxi in Paris on a cold night and they just couldn't get one. They drive past, they're already full. They said there must be a better way to solve this problem. And we all remember being late night in the city trying to catch a cab, and they just keep driving past because they're already and in a cold climate like Canada, I think that's really important versus Australia, where we don't have your snow, and Paris gets cold at night. So during winter, Uber basically went in, solved a problem, and the taxi industries were very, very slow to respond. They thought their moat was they're protected by bureaucracy, government regulations, but Uber actually broke a lot of rules along the way to do that, like ignored them, until it had a position where it actually now is your go-to for a car ride to somewhere else. Yeah. And it does do a lot better than the taxi industry. But the taxi industry got better. So the incumbent gets lazy and feels safe behind what it sees as a moat that sometimes can be jumped by the startup, can't it? So Uber is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, 100%. So I completely agree. I think it'll be very interesting to see how the next few years shakes out. I think, it's going to be the same thing that I mentioned earlier. I think it'll be a little tumultuous over the next few years to see how these different industry players work. And, the nice thing about AI and, going now and into the next few years is it's democratizing so much of these skills and that used to be very expensive to acquire. They're becoming a lot more affordable, or sometimes you don't have to pay for them at all, or you're able to do things like you were talking about with that Adobe competitor, being able to democratize design. But now you're able to democratize so many different tasks to bring the barriers of entry down for so many of these startups that they're able to legitimately compete with large companies and incumbents at a rate that I don't think we've ever seen before. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah. And it was, I read this morning, actually, New York Times, about what are the skills that AI doesn't have. What does humans have that AI doesn't have? And we're talking about the fact that AI, now generative AI, can actually, at the moment, we're starting to do 90% of the really difficult technical tasks, which used to be moat to stop people getting stuff done. So actually AI is now generating code. It's creating websites. So that's the high technical skills that are actually being done by generative AI and AI itself versus soft skills. So I think, and I agree, I think the rise of the importance of soft skills, communication skills, that can't be replicated by AI at the moment. But I think areas of communication are going to become even more valued because the tech stuff can be done by machine intelligence, right? So it's really fascinating to watch this, but the pace of it is what blows me away. So for me, I feel overwhelmed in this space, and I live and work and breathe in this space. The average Joe or Jane would even be struggling more. So we're having more and more conversations around the dinner tables about the importance of AI and where it's taking humanity. So, but then there's, the one you mentioned in the 5 Ps was prevent. And the other one that's a big question for AI is the containment of AI. Things that AI should not be doing. And we're seeing that, for example, in deep fakes. In other words, people basically copying other people. And there was an example recently of someone that did a deep fake of their CFO asking someone to move $23 million. And they did it. They thought that was the person. It was a deep fake of the person. So where do you see some of the issues, and you're observing it in this whole landscape of startups, what are some of the big issues, and maybe sum this up to finish off, what are both the issues and the opportunities you think that AI brings to startups?
So I guess maybe to kind of touch a little bit on what you just said too, is our mission here at Amii is AI for good and for all. So we take that very seriously, and we work very hard, even before we're getting into a contracting phase, to make sure that when we're working with a client, they're aligned and the project is aligned with that mission. So we say no to projects that aren't aligned with that mission, because we don't think that AI should be used for everything. There's lots of stuff that it shouldn't be used for. It's a tool, but like any tool, tools can be used for good things and used for bad things. You can use a hammer for a lot of different things, but a hammer is just a tool. So the hammer itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's what we choose to use that hammer to do that is good or bad. And so it's the same with AI. AI is just a tool that we are able to leverage. When it comes to startups, I think, like I said earlier, when it comes to how startups can leverage AI, it's how can they improve their business processes? How can they scale and reduce the need for manual processes within their product as much as possible, or not as much as possible, in order to scale effectively? I think is a big opportunity for startups that we see often at the product level, at the individual contributor level. There's lots of AI tools like ChatGPT. I mean, I use ChatGPT in it's always open on my browser. I'm using it for different tasks throughout my day to make my life and my job easier and to make myself more productive. I think most people, if not everybody, should be using tools like that to help make them individually more productive. But when they're looking at how can they build it into their product and how can they leverage it in their product, like I said, those 5 Ps of AI are the ways that we're seeing companies use it. So are they projecting future sales? Are they projecting future sales demand for their product or for other products? Are they producing something? So using generative AI, are they producing some sort of content within that for their client? Are they preventing injuries by using computer vision to look at or monitor safety situations on a job site, or to prevent oil spills, or identify those oil spills when they happen? Are they promoting? So are they able to look out and better individualize promotion and get messaging out that they want to get out to more people, or the right message for the right people, and personalizing experiences as well? So those are the ways that startups really should be thinking about AI. And we help startups through our programming to look at their business and identify those areas that AI can be applied to, and help them prioritize that so that they know where to start, how they can start approaching AI, start thinking about it within their business. And then we can support their whole journey all the way through scoping out a problem, building it out, finding talent to support them as well, and then coaching them once they have it built out. So when it comes to startups, we can help along the whole AI adoption process for them.
I think in summing up what you've said is that you want to make sure that AI, and it's the mission statement of Amii, isn't it? In other words, it's for the good of people. In other words, if it doesn't fit within it being good, then it's not going to be, well, you won't allow it and you won't get involved. And this is where, so that's one, is that it's basically making sure that we're using technology for good and AI for good. And what's really good to see is that we're having conversations about this, like the EU is about to launch essentially policies for containment of AI for make sure it is for the good, which is a conversation we should have had about social media about 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. I don't know if anybody could have guessed 15 years ago what social media would have turned into today, but it would have been good to have more conversations back then for sure.
Yeah. And look, for me, social media has given me a voice to the world that I never would have had. So for me, it's really interesting. I was involved in a World Youth Forum event about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. There was a roundtable hosted by the president of Egypt, and it was the fours of social media and the against social media. And for me, I was on the for side. We all had 3 minutes, but what was fascinating, it was an aha moment, I suppose, a tipping point for me to understand that we need to be very aware of social media is being abused rather than used properly. It's been used for good and for bad. Disinformation is basically starting to tear democracies apart, disinformation. So yeah, I think we're having this conversation early on with AI, which is really, really important. And it doesn't mean you're going to stop the bad actors, bad governments using it to, control people. But anyway, but the velocity, as I've said before, is really what blows me away, is that we're trying to ride a bucking, racing, bronco that's just out of the gate. But we're getting it early, which is really good. So anything else you'd like to contribute, some of the insights just before we wrap up, like what you've learned along the way that you think are important for startups to consider, especially with AI? That's the first question. The other question which I want you to answer in the best way you can is, what brings Adam real deep joy in what you do? And in fact, if you had all the money in the world, what would Adam do? But that's the last question. I'll let you sort of circulate a little bit, percolate.
These are good questions.
Yeah. So number one, so what are some of the things you'd say to startups in their journey of starting to use AI and apply it?
Yeah, so I think first thing would be start thinking about it early. So I like us to say startups should be thinking about AI from day one, whether or not they're building an AI product. Oftentimes we see a lot of startups that come in that want to start building out an AI model, and that's fantastic. That's what we're here to help. And then we ask them, okay, what data do you have to help build that you need to train your model on data? And they've had an app or they've had a product for years, and they haven't collected any data on how customers are using their app or whatever they need to do. So then they have to start collecting that data before they can build their model to be trained on said data. So you can start collecting data early, and even better, if you have an idea of what the potential future AI model could look like, so you know what data you would need to be collecting along the way, it's going to make your life so much easier when you actually want to start building that tool. So that'd be the first thing. Second thing is start with the problem and then find the right solution to that problem, rather than starting with the solution and trying to find a problem that it fixes. So that would be my other big piece of advice for startups. When it comes to me and what really drives me, it's really what it comes down to is helping people. So I love supporting people, and really building the community around me. And so whether that was during my time at the government of Alberta, supporting the people of Alberta and the people of the province that I live in, or at Startup Edmonton, supporting our city and the entrepreneurs in our city, to now, I have my team that I work with every day here at Amii, but also to our community of startups that we work with and support all across the country. And so that's really what brings me joy and brings me happiness. And if I had, all the money in the world, I'm sure I would still be doing something every day to help people, to help them achieve their goals and to help them be the best that they can be. So that's really what I try and do every day here, whether it's internally with my team or whether it's with the startups that I work with. So that's really what drives me and motivates me at the end of the day.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And you've actually, with what brings you joy, is community and obviously relationships and bringing value to those. And the science actually says that's what brings people happiness the most, which is relationships. And the 87-year-old Harvard study reveals that the people that are happiest are the ones that actually had quality human relationships, and that's what brought them joy. And you're actually doing that. So
trying.
So Adam, thank you very much for sharing your insights. It's been absolutely fascinating. I loved our conversation. And
yes, it was great.
And look forward to maybe bumping into you on the other side of the world sometime. And yeah, so thank you very much. It's been a blast, and I've learned a lot, which is always brings me joy. I love learning. I'm curious, but building relationships, this is, and every relationship starts with a conversation. So thank you for having a conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was my pleasure being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.